Welcome to EXO Leaders Authors Interview. Today we are going to interview Mark Hebner, founder and CEO of Index Fund Advisors. EXO Leaders was created by AIM Group. We are an American consulting firm specializing in making organizations become more effective and efficient. We decided to donate 100% of the earnings of the book to scholarships. We found that many of the readers wanted to learn more about our clients, friends, and CEOs who have written in the book, which is why we're inviting today's guest, Mark Hebner, founder and CEO of Index Fund Advisors, who selected to write a piece in EXO Leaders USA Volume 1 under the chapter Moonshots. If you enjoy this interview, please hit the like button, follow us, comment, and share it with your friends and colleagues. Mark, welcome to today's episode of EXO Leaders Authors Interview. My first question to you is, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, let's see. I'm a high energy guy. That's one of the ways that people often describe me. In fact, I have one friend who says I have more energy than anybody he knows. So I think that's one important aspect, by the way, of being a leader and a founder. It's really easy to run out of energy for a lot of people and to give up when persistence is one of these key traits that allow one person to succeed over another. I am a nuclear pharmacist by my first training. I'm a drummer, so I love music, and I have a natural rhythm, which also allowed me to be a good equestrian. Later in my life, about 15 years ago or so, my wife all of a sudden popped up the question one day, "Hey, I'd like to get a horse. What do you think about that?" What? So we have 4 horses now and 2 dogs, and we live on a sort of city ranch here in Coto de Caza, California, which is just south of Disneyland. Most people will know where that is. Yeah. I'm married. I have 3 children and a stepson, and 4 grandchildren. And so we're very busy with all of those relationships as well.
Absolutely. Mark, tell me about your organization.
So Index Fund Advisors was one of the first companies, I like to call it the first, but it's really kind of hard to document, that back in 1999 was providing a web-based investment advice for potential investors from all over the United States. We're limited to the United States due to the regulatory aspects of charging for investment advice. Otherwise, we could do this all over the world. For example, we're very popular in Denmark.
Oh, you are?
Where you're from. Yeah. Exactly. There are a lot of international investment professionals utilize our website to learn about the Nobel Prize winning strategies of utilizing index funds and passive investing. A lot of people buy index funds and an ETF, but then they trade them like wildfire. So you have to do both. You have to buy a diversified index portfolio, and you have to passively hold on to it for a very long period of time. So back in 1999, we put together a website that had dynamic data charts. For people to properly understand how markets work, they need to be able to review the historic data on different types of markets and how it's hard to time the market and it's hard to pick stocks and what is the average return for long periods of time. So all of that information is really difficult for people to get a grip on. And so we developed a dynamic charts where you could click around and see things moving and make your selections and your choices using Flash was the software back then. Some of you more technical listeners would know that Steve Jobs didn't like Flash and wouldn't allow it on the iPhone or iPad. And as a result, that's now moved to HTML5. And we had to go back and redo all of our charts. Literally, we had probably 1,000 charts at the peak. We've had to narrow it down because the SEC doesn't like old data. Mm-hmm. But the dynamic aspect of our information we've provided was very unique among investment firms in the world. And then through this process, we've pulled in lots of clients. We're now up to about 2,500 clients. And as of a couple of years ago anyway, we had about $5 billion in assets under management. And today, I think we're about $4.8 billion, and we have 55 employees. How's that?
That's incredible. That's incredible. There's a lot of different reasons why leaders and founders of companies participate in EXO Leaders. Why was it important to you to share this information?
Well, as we all probably know, many people want to be successful in their life and in their career. And probably the most common way for people to seek out success is to read about people who actually got there. Yeah. I do have some concerns about that, in that a lot of times success among individuals is just an element of random chance. One philosopher said that luck was when preparation meets opportunity. Mm-hmm. And those opportunities are not something that you can plan on. They come along once in a while, and then if you're prepared for it, what I like to say, have a good process in your life, then you have a good chance of seizing that opportunity and turning it into a real success. So when I put together my moonshot discussion, we had a number of topics to choose from, just so everybody should know. I wanted to try to portray this really very unusual chance of being able to create an online business in 1999, which was kind of in the heat of all the dot-com craziness, right? And turn that into something that would actually be successful. As we probably all know by now, most of those dot-coms are gone, yeah. And a few of them survived to give a good return to their investments, but most people lost tons of money on investing into dot-coms back then. And I also, because I had a previous success in my life, I had my own capital, and so I invested all my own money. And another thing that's a little bit unusual about my situation is 25 years later, we have our 25th anniversary coming up in March. I'm still the sole owner of my company, which I highly recommend to people if you have the capital and if you're able to basically compensate your employees with large salaries instead of giving them options or giving them shares in your company.
Mark, to me, your article made success seem easy. How was it?
I must have made a mistake there. I don't know how that happened. I don't think hardly anybody who's successful can claim they did it easily. There is what I like to say 1,000 points of risk bearing down on every entrepreneur, probably daily. The threats of lawsuits, the threats of employees creating issues of either leaving and taking your secrets and replicating what you do, or suing you for any number of issues, customers potentially suing you for any number of issues, competition coming along and replicating your success. This is one of the problems, especially with the internet today. If you come up with this wonderful idea, it doesn't take long for somebody to see what you're doing and literally be able to replicate it. Yeah. And so to continually stay ahead of all of these risks that impact a business owner is really a difficult task. So I wouldn't say that it's easy in any respect. On the other hand, I think it is a ball. I have tremendous fun competing with other people, with helping clients that we work with, and providing a high level of education, actually, teaching them something that would ultimately result in them wanting to hire you. It's a form of sales when you're doing an education, as opposed to what I'll call just a sales or a product sales pitch. And so those are some of the joys that I think come along with this, let alone the financial success of having a successful business. What does money give you? I like to tell people it gives you choices. You have more ability to make the choices you want in life when you have a higher income or higher savings.
You said that you want to change the world or change how people invest. How should we manage our money, Mark?
My mission is to change the way the world invests. By replacing speculation with an education. That's my full motto. So what does that mean? Well, probably the single largest betting casino on this planet are the 41 stock exchanges, I think 41 or 42 stock exchanges around the world. This ability for investors literally to get on their phone and make bets on what will happen to individual securities, stocks or bonds, is a huge casino opportunity for those providing the trading. Okay, the gambler is you, and you are the one providing the income to the what I'll call the businesses who have a business model that is dependent on trading. Okay. The crazy thing is when we look at the record of those who trade, they do worse than the record of those who buy and hold. That's a little bit confusing to a lot of people. Some of the more famous people you might know, Warren Buffett, said his holding period is forever. Okay, that's not really true. He sold airlines when they were having some difficulties in COVID. But generally speaking, one of the most injurious activities investors make is, first of all, buying a wrong asset allocation. They tend to buy a concentrated portfolio of a few stocks. And then secondly, not holding it. So what should investors do? They should buy what are called index funds. Highly diversified, very low cost, very tax efficient investments, and they should own these indexes that give them exposure to geographic areas all over the world and company characteristics that have been shown to correlate with the highest returns. Well, what does that mumbo jumbo mean? What it really means is small companies, for example, are riskier. Another aspect of a risky company is they have high costs of capital. Well, as an investor in those companies, you are positioned, when the price is fair, which it is, to capture that high cost of capital. Now, speaking of fair price, this is another huge mistake investors make, is they come to the conclusion in their own mind that something is either overvalued or it's undervalued, giving them some opportunity to sell an overvalued security or buy an undervalued security. And when it catches up to fair value, they will end up making higher profits than if they just bought at the fair price. That's completely false. It is the foundation, literally, of all brokerage firms in the world. And all it does is generate these casino type activities for traders. They're basically gambling as opposed to investing. And That's not what investors should be doing. They should be investing, as I said, and relaxing, as opposed to letting their questions about their decisions roll around in the back of their brain when they're trying to go to sleep, or when they wake up in the morning, or even when they're dreaming. So, was that clear enough to you, Gustav?
Absolutely.
Have you ever had to buy? Have you ever bought some stocks on your own? Wait a minute, I'm interviewing you now.
Yeah, I did buy some stocks. I'm going to talk to you after this interview, Mark, to see if you can help me out.
Can I throw in one more thing, because I know
Absolutely.
we probably have a lot of young listeners.
Yeah.
Okay, a currency is not an investment; it's a commodity. Okay, the reason the stock market goes up roughly 10% for 95 years now, the S&P 500, it's because companies make a profit. The value of anything is basically the current value of their future earnings. If there's no earnings, you're just doing a wild guess as to what the value is, and you're hoping a bigger fool will come along and pay you more. That's what cryptocurrencies are. Do not think cryptocurrencies are an investment. How's that? I can hear all the kids going, yeah, but you got silver hair. You don't quite get it. So.
I think, and that goes to my next question. What would you recommend aspiring leaders that are listening to this? Maybe not as in your industry, and should we invest or not, but if you have a company, how do you think? What are your recommendations as a business leader?
Yeah. The first thing I would say is take care of yourself. Eat a good diet, exercise, meditate if you have to, do a little yoga, get your mind in a good state. Because if you're not in good shape overall, both mental and physical, it is really difficult for people to respect you and to follow you. And you need people to have both respect and a desire to want to follow you or follow your vision in the company that you've created. And so I think of those things as all part of what I call a good process. You know, there's a saying in I don't even know what field it comes from, but from a good process, probably statistics, from a good process, you can have both good and bad outcomes. But what we're really interested in here is I have a good process. Why did I get a bad outcome? And from a bad process, you can get a good outcome. But on average, the good process will position you to be more likely to be successful than the bad process. And so think about all the elements of a good process in your life. You're organized, you're disciplined, you're persistent, you work hard, you treat other people fairly. This is so important. If you're always trying to take advantage, always looking for this little angle, this edge, to win against the other side of whatever discussion you're in, people will not want to continue to engage with you, and certainly not want to follow you. You have to be fair. You have to be empathetic to other people's emotions and their intelligence. Okay, you don't insult people or be brutal in treating them in a certain way and managing them in business. So there's a handful of them.
Incredible. I live in Texas, so hearing country music is always nice.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. That's my ringtone.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Now, going back to EXO Leaders, what would you say? We have some people that write to us and say, okay, but could you give me some recommendations? What would you recommend to leaders who are maybe thinking of participating in EXO Leaders? What was your experience?
Well, first of all, I think we kind of owe it. It's kind of our way to pay back, like being charitable at your local hospital or wherever you think it's good to share your financial success. I think it's good to share these stories with people so that they might pick up a little tidbit here and there and help them be more successful in their life. And so I think we kind of owe it as leaders who have found success to try to summarize and try to boil down some of these important points that I've been sharing to really help our fellow business people that are working hard and trying to be successful for themselves and for their families. Absolutely. And their community, really. Yeah. So I mentioned to you this briefly. It's really interesting. I really wasn't all that charitable until the last 5 or 6 years when someone asked me to get involved at the local hospital. And at first, when they interviewed me, I said, well, I really don't have a lot of extra capital to, throw your way. But the more you learn about a charity and its needs, the more rewards you get in helping them out. Mm-hmm. It's really, I think, one of the benefits of being successful is you get the joy of helping other people. And that could be either financial or it could be a coaching type of opportunity along the line of what we're doing here.
Right. Well, this is plans to be both. We both share information, experiences, and leadership anecdotes, but we also donate 100% of the profits of the earnings of the book to scholarships. And like you said, it's been an incredible journey, both knowledge-wise and also helping kids out reaching their goals as and aspirations as university students. Mark, well, thank you very much for being part of the segment. It was incredibly interesting. I hope that we have a lot of people that like it. Press the like button, follow us on the platforms that we were going to publish this article on. And it's really been a pleasure. Thank you very much, Mark.
I just want to thank you for bringing all of us together and doing this project year after year. It should remind all of us what a leader you are to us leaders.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.